I literally just choked on nothing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. So I recently made a video about like time management and then one about motivation, and this is kind of a similar video along those lines where I'm going to be talking about procrastination and basically how to like combat it, how to try and minimize procrastination, because not procrastinating at all is completely impossible, but I do try and minimize procrastination. And when planning this video, it neatly came to like 10 tips or pieces of advice. All of the stuff I'm going to talk about is from personal experience. It's what I do on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of it is like practical advice, so I hope that if you take anything away from this video, you can like practically implement these things and see if they work for you basically. So yeah, without me waffling too much, I hope you enjoy this video. Like if you do, comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell, the usuals, and yeah. Okay, before we actually jump in with the advice, let me just get my assistant here, Alexa. She's actually really dusty. Need to deal with that. Anyways, Alexa, define procrastination.
Procrastination is usually defined as the act or habit of procrastinating, or putting off or delaying, especially something requiring immediate attention.
So yeah, procrastination, thank you Alexa, it's like you're just putting off things that you need to get done. And obviously in our society, like in a very digital world, we can just procrastinate by going on our phones, going on social media, watching YouTube. We're just doing something that's so easy, something you don't have to think about. And we're actually going to start by talking about phones, okay? This is my good old phone. I actually cracked the screen protector, I think, yesterday because I dropped it. So yeah, my first tip is basically put your phone somewhere out of sight when you're working. So I'm not saying you have to hide your phone and then go on like a treasure hunt to find it. Unless you give it to someone else, you can't really play that game. But I have a dedicated place in my drawer where my phone sits when I'm working or studying. You can't see, but I have a top drawer on my desk and it just sits at the back of that drawer under my glasses case or something. So yeah, that's where my phone sits. It takes like naps regularly throughout the day. That's where I put it. An alternative is to like put it outside your room or put it just like somewhere that you can't reach it easily. I did used to have my phone on my desk and then I used to put it on like airplane mode, but I'd often say miss important messages. I would miss calls because it was on airplane mode, and I just realized that it wasn't working. So I keep it off airplane mode. I turn off most of my notifications, and yeah, I just put it in its little hibernation spot. Tip number 2 is to basically stand up when you're using your phone. If you just want to like check your phone for a short amount of time, I basically try and stand up when I'm using my phone. It basically means that I can't like sit here and get comfortable and be like, oh, so let's just, you know, start scrolling, and that's what you're trying to avoid. So like physically stand up, or alternatively go to a completely different location, environment, room in your house to use your phone, because the point of this is to basically make associations between a particular environment and what you're doing in that environment. So for me, like my room is my like hub of energy and productivity, and everything just happens in this room. I know that won't work for everyone, but this is where I work. It's where I feel motivated, at my desk. And so this place here, specifically in my room, is where I work and study. If I'm going on my phone, I'll try and like stand up, or I'll go somewhere else in the house, and that really helps create a distinction between like you working without distractions and then you kind of like taking a break. My third piece of advice, tip number 3, is basically to limit your digital distractions. This does overlap with like your phone, but I'm specifically talking about the device that you're using to do your work on. So for me, it's my Mac. This is where I do a lot of my work. So for example, like when I'm editing using like Final Cut, I will just have Final Cut open, and then I'll close my emails, I'll close every other application, so I am just focusing on editing. Similarly, if I'm writing an essay, I'm just gonna have like the Word document open and maybe Mendeley if I'm referencing. For me, it's often my emails because they come in randomly and all the time. It's just that noise of an email coming in that will just distract you, and automatically your focus and your attention is diverted away from what you're doing. And I therefore definitely notice a difference between when I'm working with my emails open and when I'm working with them shut down. When they're shut down, I just literally forget about everything else and I'm like deep into writing that essay, or I'm really like involved in the editing. Whereas when I have my emails open, I'm constantly checking the emails. I'm like, oh, there's another one come in, I should read this one and reply. And it's like, no, you should have it closed and you should be focusing on that one task. Okay, so tip number 4 is basically planning and committing to your plan. You'll hear me talk talk about planning like all the time, because planning is important for like time management, prioritization, motivation, procrastination. Making a plan is the first step, but then following that plan through is like the next step. And so what I really want to emphasize here is that planning only works if you're going to commit to that plan. I'm not going to talk about like the ins and outs of how I plan, how I weekly plan in my bullet journal, and how I prioritize, because I spoke a lot about that in my time management video, which I will link somewhere. I will make my plan the evening before, and that means that I have time to sleep on it and I can commit to it, and when I wake up the next day I can get on immediately because I know what I'm going to be doing. I do sometimes order the things I want to do, so I'll say I want to do this first, second, third, and I just put numbers by them, but I won't do that every day. It's only if I have like a lot to do. If you're doing that in the morning, it's fine, but I just don't think it's as effective because you don't wake up with like a plan in mind and a vision for your day. So that automatically gives you the opportunity and the flexibility to procrastinate and to do other things. So I would advise doing it in the evening. I also like to do that because I am a very independent individual. I work very independently, and so my bullet journal and my planning basically holds me accountable. You might want to find someone else to like hold you accountable, but what happens if that person isn't there one day? Like, who are you going to rely on then? You need to start like trusting yourself. I'm like, yesterday evening I said I was going to do this, and then this, and then that, and I have to then follow it through. So yeah, planning is just like really important to me, and I have found a method that works, and that is what I would advise you to do. Like, find a method that works for you and stick to it, because as well you have to find a balance between planning and not over planning, because if you just spend so much time planning, you're not going to get anything done. So plan how you're gonna plan your life and then implement those plans, follow them through, right? Also with planning, it's something I do, but it's often like not really apparent from my weekly plans. I will make sure I plan breaks, and during those breaks, that's when I'm on my phone or I'm watching something, because those are my more chilled hours of the day. That's my downtime. So yes, I do think that being busy is really good, because if you have stuff to do, you're going to get on and do it, but at the same time you do just need to make sure you plan in the breaks, especially during this time with like lockdown and people working from home, people studying from home. Like, I'm doing my master's online. I've really grown to appreciate scheduling in that break and then doing something completely different in that break, like going on my phone, because otherwise everything just blends into one, and then you can't distinguish between you working or studying and you taking a break. Tip number 5 is related to planning, but it's basically like planning on a bit of a smaller scale and planning for an individual task, like something that you're really putting off. You have to break those down into smaller steps and make it easier for yourself and more manageable, because then you're going to be like, okay, it's not so bad now. It's going to sound and look more appealing. It's not just one big task now, it's lots of small steps, and that is what will help you get on and do it, because it's not as if you just have to launch straight in. You're doing that first mini step, and then you can do the next and the next. Tip number 6 is to do with mindset. I like to talk about mindset as well as the more practical advice, because I think it is, again, really quite crucial to talk about, and it's kind of related to this idea of like perfectionism and a fear of failure and a fear of doing something badly. I try and retrain the way I think about a task that I don't want to do, because that will help you start it as well as breaking it down into smaller things. As I said before, I think it's important to basically say to yourself, look, I want to do this to my best ability, instead of being really precise. Like, for example, I could be like, oh, I want to get a first class essay, and yes, it would kind of motivate me, but at the same time it would scare me, because I'm like, what happens if I don't get that? What happens if I don't get that mark? I'm gonna be annoyed. I'll feel as if I've failed, when you obviously haven't failed, but that is the pressure I would put on myself if I said I want to get X or Y or whatever you want to say to yourself. It can apply to any context, but being really specific and putting loads of pressure on yourself is not going to help with procrastination, because you're just going to put off doing it even more. And so the point is, you have to say to yourself, I am going to do this and I want to do this to my best ability. I am a perfectionist. I definitely am someone with a very perfectionistic mindset, and I put so much pressure on myself, but I try and remind myself of that. And I think it's really important to just say that you're going to do your best, and your best is enough, because it is. Tip number 7 is a short one, but it's something, again, I will say all the time because it's so relevant in lots of different contexts. Basically, it's to set timers. Like Alexa and I, we like a good timer. That's how we roll. This will really help you to commit to something. Like, say to yourself, I'm gonna do this for an hour, I'm gonna do it for 2 hours. Maybe start small and say like, I'm gonna do this for 15 minutes and then I'm gonna do it for like half an hour. Just like build things up gradually, but make use of the timer, okay? If your phone is like hibernating, leave it hibernating, okay? Like, set one on your watch, get Alexa if you have an Alexa, HomePod, set one on your Mac. Just like set timers, okay? I love timers. I love them a bit too much. They're so simple, but they're so effective, and I'm just like, yes. Kind of related to this idea of setting timers, tip number 8 is to basically actively procrastinate for 15 minutes. I've mentioned this before and it sounds counterintuitive, but it works, okay? I also refer to it as kind of like a power boost, but it's active procrastination. Now, you need to let yourself procrastinate for 15 minutes. Set a timer and be like, okay, for 15 minutes, I'm gonna do something that is completely unrelated to the task that I'm putting off doing. And normally I do something that's a bit more active or physical, so I might like hoover my room, or I might, you know, redo my hair, I might dance for a bit, I might do a workout, walk somewhere, do something for like 15 or 20 minutes, a short amount of time, and that is going to be you recharging and doing something very different to what you're putting off. And then when you come to do that task, you're going to be like, okay, so I'm feeling rejuvenated, refreshed, and you're just gonna then get on with it, okay? You kind of give in to that part of your mind that wants to procrastinate for 15 minutes and then come to the thing that you need to get on with. Tip number 9 is basically to reorganize your phone apps. So for me, for example, let's just do it. I would unlock my phone. Hi, Face ID, you gonna recognize me? Hi. I normally unlock my phone, I normally swipe and then click up there, and that's me. I'm on Instagram, and without me even thinking, that is what I automatically do. So if you want to, just like for a bit of fun, just like get your phone, don't think about it, just see what your hand automatically does. Without me even thinking consciously, I'm on my phone and I'm automatically on this app. I'm on social media. So what you can basically do is something I haven't done in a while, because I obviously know that little shortcut right now. I know where to click. Every so often, just like reorganize your phone apps, reshuffle them around so you don't really know where they are. And that means that you're not just gonna swipe up and click on something because you know where it is without thinking. If you reorganize and reshuffle them every so often, then it's gonna make you kind of slow down a bit and think about what you're doing when you go on your phone. Obviously, it's very easy to just delete an app and it's gonna stop you going on it, but I don't think that's teaching you anything, and it's not training you to just be in control of it yourself. But I'm not gonna say that deleting it is not gonna work, because it obviously does work. I prefer, however, to just like say to myself to limit it and to, you know, be in control of it. Okay, tip number 10, the last tip. I don't really know how to phrase this one concisely. I kind of want to talk about how I use social media myself and how I make sure that I don't get carried away. So obviously I'm on social media, like I post on YouTube mostly, and then I post on Instagram quite a lot as well. But in terms of like consuming it myself, so like watching videos or like liking pictures or watching Instagram stories, for example, I will use it, as I said, in the breaks that I've set myself. Like I'll stand up and go on my phone, or when I'm having my lunch, like for an hour. I really like watching YouTube before I go to bed in the evenings. I don't really like the phrase following cult, but I will make sure that the people I'm following or the people I'm subscribed to are those that I do regularly engage with. I do enjoy their content, and it's stuff that I really like to see. Also on YouTube, I like to kind of pick the videos that I'm gonna watch. I'll like add them to a watch later list, and that way when I go on YouTube, I'm gonna go to those videos that I wanted to watch. Yes, I don't really watch TV, but like I love YouTube for that reason, because I can find the videos that I enjoy. They're quite short. I can plan which videos I want to watch. In terms of Instagram, obviously as humans, we are really nosy, and it is quite fun to just like see what people are doing. But I often like to remind myself to like slow down and be like, Holly, what am I really gonna get out of watching that person's story one day? Like I don't need to watch and scroll through everyone's stories. And likewise, when I'm scrolling, say, down my feed, I like to slow down and actually read captions, and that's why it's really important to me to follow people that I really enjoy following, sort of things. Hello. Oh, hi, Milka.
Is that right? Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine, she can come in. Hey, man. She obviously had to make her entrance in this video. Oh, Milka, you're making me so hairy. What are you doing? Huh? Here's a cutie. Oh no, please don't lick my face. Please don't lick. No, no. Your breath smells like cat food. So yeah, that is basically my procrastination video, my 10 tips, my 10 pieces of advice. I really hope this was useful and you got something out of this video. If you did enjoy it, what do they do, Milka? They like it if they enjoyed seeing your face at the end. Subscribe if you want to join the fam. Join me on Milka. She's like a purring machine, everybody. Are you okay? Okay. So yeah, I will say goodbye from me and Milka, and we will speak to you very soon. Right? We'll speak to them very soon. Bye! I don't realise, Milka, Mum's gonna be so annoyed. Milka, look! She doesn't care.